Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Hello Dave with Down to Earth Astronomy. Today's video is maybe going to be a little bit longer than usual, so let's dive right into it. In Elite, this week I released a video about 10 engineers that has been available on the EDDB homepage, but they showed up on the EDDB homepage, but they were not really available in the game. Now, Frontier has been out, and they said that these engineers has been in the game since the introduction of the engineers way back in patch 2.12, something like that. I can't remember. But they've been in the game since then. Why it's surfaced now, I don't know. But it's not something that they are planning to implement anytime soon. They added the extra engineers in the game back when the engineers was released, and they were planning to have more engineers in the future, more blueprints. This is not something that's been added in the game yet, obviously, and it doesn't sound like it's something that they have in the current pipeline. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any of these new engineers in the game anytime soon. But what that of course also means is we can now rule out the idea that there's going to be new engineers where we have to unlock them to get access to the new Dark Earth weapons. So I would expect it to have something to do with the already existing engineers, Ramtar, Palin, most likely. But again, we'll have to wait and see until the beta patch. Maybe we can see it in that, I hope. But again, more on the beta patch in a little bit. Then, of course, Frontier's having their own expo this year. They have the Frontier Expo, where they're both going to be covering Elite, but also all the other games like Planet Coaster. That, of course, means they're not going to be that active at the other gaming conventions. So instead, they're now having some Elite meets where Elite players can meet up at the gaming conventions, and they're going to try to arrange that. And they're doing that with the PAX West in the US, in Seattle on the 31st of August. So if you're in the US and you want to meet some other Elite players, there's an event there you can join. Now, this week on the 17th, the closed beta for patch 2.4 is going to be released. So that means if you have access, if you bought in and got the access to closed betas, you'll be able to download it on that day and get in and try it out, play it, see how it is, look at all the new stuff. I will, of course, try to get a stream up on the day, so you guys can see it if you don't have access yourself, or if you just want to have a quick overview, you can join that stream, and of course the stream will also be available to playback afterwards. But again, I'm planning to try and get a stream up on the 17th once the patch is live, at least the beta is live. Okay, let's move on to Fractured Space. Now, there's been a lot going on in Fractured Space this week. Update 3.6 has been released, and I'm not going to go into too much detail with all the changes because there's a lot, and that would make this a very long version of Hello Dave. So instead, there's going to be a separate video about that later on where I go into a bit more details with the different updates. So we're just going to give you guys a quick overview. They changed, they made a launcher. There wasn't a launcher before, but they now made a launcher where you can select your graphics mode before you actually launch the game, and keyboard layout. I don't know why they would need that. Apparently there's been some problems with some keyboard layout, so you can now pick your keyboard layout when you launch the game. Fair enough. And then of course when you actually launch, there's a nice new load scene. Rather than having a static image, there's now a nice new animated scene, which I guess is just nice, having something else to look at. But of actual game changes, they have, in the game, they've added a new stat. Before we just had offensive, defensive, and utility. Now we also have maneuverability for all the ships, and you can compare the different, those four metrics from the different ships. This, of course, also supports a new class of ships, the maneuverable class of ship. It's not fully implemented, we can't really filter on it yet, and I'm not even sure if it's supposed to be a class. Because right now what they've done is they have they're just taking the stat that the ship has the most points in, and that's the class that they got. Now, problem is that a ship, for instance, like the Hunter, has a high score in utility, even though it's an attack ship. So the Hunter is currently classified as an attack ship, even though it actually is as a utility ship, even though it's an attack ship. That's something they're working on. They will be fixed. So if you feel like your ship classifications are a bit off in the game right now, just know that this is something that's going to be changed in the future. Ship rotation has been added, so you can now get 4 ships that you can always use, or well, as long as they're on rotation, you can use those ships in PvP. You can try them out, even though you don't have them unlocked yet, to see if a ship is something for you and maybe it's something you want to purchase. Then once you are loading into the game, you're now getting a quick overview of your ship, what kind of abilities you have, and a few handy tips and tricks in case you don't know what your ship does. But I guess that's to help new players to get a better understanding of your ship before you actually go into battle, especially if you're playing the ship for the first time. Might be nice to have a few pointers. Automated point defense has been added. Now point defense is a passive thing. I don't know what I feel about it. I haven't played around too much with it, just played a single game just to see how it worked. But again, going to go into more detail with that in the separate 3.6 update video that's going to come out sometime. Don't know when. Whenever I get it done. Hopefully not in the too distant future. Then, if your ship gets killed in the game, you now have a nice new screen that tells you some information about the ship that killed you, their loadout, their crew, other ships that helped them, and it's also going to give you some tips about how you can take out that ship in case you meet it again, because we all know that situation when you're in the game and you just keep getting killed by the same ship over and over and over again. You don't really know how to counter it. Now the game's going to give you some tips and tricks to how you can counter the ship, so next time you meet it, maybe you'll be a bit more successful. Same with the end scene after the battle is over. This has now been overhauled completely. Very nice new end scene. Lots of metrics you can look at. You can go where you can compare a ton of different metrics with all the other players, both from your own or for the enemy team, just to see how you performed. And this is going to help, especially I think older players also new players, to figure out which areas they're good at the game and which areas they might need to work at. So that's great to see more statistics. I love getting more statistics about games. Then apparently there's been an old bug has been reintroduced called the 99% bug, where if you're capping an enemy station, it will sometimes get stuck at 99%, so you would not be able to cap it all the way to 100. That's unfortunately been reintroduced into the game. It is something they're working on. I have not had any problems with it as of yet. But again, it should be there. Maybe they already fixed it. I don't know. But they've also released a little bit about upcoming stuff. DNA is going to be removed from the game. It doesn't mean that you will be compensated somehow. You will get, I assume you get some credits for the DNA that you have. So it's not that all your DNA is going to be wasted. And the whole idea with drop pods is going to be overhauled as well. So drop pods going to be completely different. They will take, if you have stocked up on existing drop pods, they will be converted not by a 1-to-1, because the drop pod's going to give you better loot. So a bronze drop pod today would be worse than a bronze drop pod tomorrow. Maybe I don't know what they're going to do, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But they're going to be you're gonna convert them over, not 1-to-1, but I guess we'll wait and see. But that's something that they're working on. That's something they have in the pipeline. Okay, that was the quick overview of Fractured Space. Let's move on to some questions. I actually got a few questions this week that I would like to answer. First question was from, let me see, it was from Richard, who asked what my view was on the whole power play and the special weapon and special equipment that you can get for power play. Now, the idea with power play was, I think, very good. It allowed people to get into... the idea, I think, was you could get people into groups and fight together, and because all the different factions had different ways of progressing, you could choose a faction that supported your playstyle. So if you like to go out in PvP, you could join a faction that likes where you get merits for PvPing. And if you like trading and mining, there would be faction where you would get benefits from doing that. So you could always choose a faction that fitted your playstyle. Now, in my opinion, it doesn't really sound like there's that many players that actually play power play. And the players that do it, they just join for their 4 weeks to gain a specific module. In most cases, that would be the prismatic shield generators. But there are actually lots of other very useful modules, and I think the modules themselves are very great. It's nice to see that they have these special weapons special modification, or special equipment that works in slightly different than what you'd be used to. But problem is, if you're looking for specific equipment now, you can't really choose which faction. You have to go with the faction that has that available, and once you then have it, what you've done your 4 weeks, what most people do is to just buy up a bulk of them, store it somewhere, and then leave the faction again, because now they got it, because as soon as you leave, you will not be able to buy the weapons anymore. Which I kind of think is a shame that Power Play has gone to the point where it's just something people do to get access to some equipment they want, and then they leave and just to never come back. And I guess it was a Frontier trying to make the game more multiplayer friendly, because to be honest, for MMO, Elite is not the most multiplayer engaging game. I mean, there's not that much interaction between players unless you are specifically looking for it. And I guess this was a way to try and make more random encounters happen in the game by having people play Power Play. But again, it doesn't really seem like there's that many players using it, and I think it's a shame that they have now accidentally, I guess, locked equipment behind this this gameplay that's not really that engaging. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to do is you're just going to once a week, you're going to get your merits, and then you're going to go back to do what you really like to do in the game, because you most likely will have to join a faction that maybe not suit your playstyle. So that's a bit of a shame. But anyway, other questions. Let me see. I have another question here from... Wow, I should have prepared this a little bit. This is from David, that asks if I know that I live in the happiest country in the world. Yes, I do know. Denmark has been, for quite a few years, it's been... I don't know how they measured, but somehow people who knows about this stuff has measured that Danes are the happiest people in the world. So, yay on me, I guess. And he asked, why do I think that is? I guess it's, I mean, now this could potentially go and become very political, and I don't want it to be that, but I guess it's because the way our, the whole society is structured. I mean, we have the highest tax in the world. We pay around 50% tax. And, but we also get a lot from that tax. I mean, hospitals are free, schools are free, even universities are free. You actually get paid to go to university, and it's not a small amount. You can, I mean, if you're not buying expensive stuff, you can actually live off the money that you get just from going to university. So you could basically come through university without having a huge amount of money that you own to somebody. And just that fact that we don't really have to worry that much, I think that's part of it. Now, but again, I don't know. I'm not really proficient in that. But anyway, last question. Well, and this is actually something I've been asked quite often. That's to the probably not showing up that well because of the background lighting. That's to the fence that you can see behind me here. I have this fence. And people often ask it because it shows up when, of course, not recordings and live streams. But the fence, why I have it, is to prevent the bunny from getting into my computer and eating up all my cables. And every time I mention the bunny, everybody seems to lose their mind. So to end off this episode of Hello Dave, I've created a small montage of bunny videos. So enjoy. Thanks a lot for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys in space.